Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce. This is a US elections special bit of news analysis with regard. I'm only going to do a very short video here. I have 8 gazillion tabs to go through, and actually it will take about 4 hours of videos, but I'm going to do just this little bit here, which concerns Donald Trump filing a legal complaint against the UK Labour Party for their help that they are giving to Kamala Harris. So almost 100 Labour aides have travelled to campaign for the US Democrats. And the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer from the Labour Party has dismissed the row and said he can still build bridges with Trump. Okay. This was all as a result of I think a tweet that was found out to say, right, come on, let's get you guys out to US to help. It's on LinkedIn, actually. UK Labour staff revealed on LinkedIn last week that almost 100 party officials were heading across the Atlantic to campaign for the US Democrats in key swing states ahead of the November the 5th election. And so Trump was saying, this is interference in our election. This is absolutely terrible. Like, this is an official complaint. And actually, although it didn't really hit the American news so much, this was really big news in the UK, and loads of our mainstream media outlets have gone pretty much nuts over this. Knee-jerk reactions without really understanding that this happens all the time, and it happens for both sides. And the people who have been complaining in the UK about this, people like Liz Truss and Nigel Farage, have themselves gone over to help Trump. Like, it's just... So anyway, I want to put the record straight here, just set the record straight. And I think Keir Starmer's rightfully just said, this is mountain out of a molehill type thing. Let's have a look at Starmer. So Starmer, who had a 2-hour dinner with the Republican candidate in New York in late September, denied it risks jeopardizing his relationship with Trump. I spent time in New York with President Trump, had dinner with him, and my purpose in doing so was to make sure that the two of us have established a good relationship, which we did, so on and so forth. So he's sort of saying, hey, it's not really an issue. Any individual Labour supporters who are over there in the US being part of the Democratic election campaign are there in their own time. They're there at their own expenses, and if they've got accommodation out there, that will also be provided by volunteers. That's coming from John Healey, the UK Defence Secretary. It's very different to the determination of the Labour government to work with whoever the American people elect next month as their president, he added. So the thing is, as mentioned, this actually does happen all the time. This paragraph, says Matthew McGregor, paragraph 19 of a 19-paragraph story about party activists and MPs volunteering in the US. It's the first time in the story it is mentioned that activists of all parties volunteer for both parties in the US elections. In other words, everyone is shouting about this, saying, this is a really big thing. And then, an example in this particular article, wherever it's from, the very last paragraph in the story actually gives the truth of the matter, which is here: Conservative Party activists are understood to be in the US helping Trump's campaign. Okay, and Trump has publicly been helped frequently by Nigel Farage, the Reform MP, who has spent time in America campaigning for his friend. He was at the Republican National Convention, as was Liz Truss. So, absolutely incredible that it's gaining so much traction, this, when it's really a storm in a teacup. Mikey Smith here says, when it was revealed around 100 Labour activists had travelled to the US campaign for Harris, Nigel Farage, who is the populist leader of the Reform UK party, is his party. He said, who is paying for this? Mr. Farage's trip to support Trump for the RNC was paid for by Reform UK donor Christopher Harbon, who spent £32,800 on his flights and hotels. So, a bit more of a story in that. Nigel Farage has used £33,000 of UK donor cash to support Donald Trump in the US election. It's just rank hypocrisy. Like, these Labour people can't be going and doing this. Meanwhile, he's done that at the expense of his party donor. In other words, the party coffers. The Labour activists are going out there as individuals, not being paid for by any Labour coffers, or certainly not the government, etc., etc. And so it's just, if this was only Labour people doing this, and it never happened before, and this was Labour people going and doing something that was very much against the run of how things are done, then yeah, okay, we could have a conversation about this. But this is a tried and tested mechanism for support for other countries that I think needs to be much better understood by the general public, and I don't think mainstream media are doing a particularly good job of educating people. So here, the Metro actually has a fairly good piece on this. Former Culture Secretary brands Trump complaint against Labour a political stunt. So Brent Bradshaw, who served roles including Culture Secretary and Health Minister under Gordon Brown, also said there was no evidence that the personal relationship between Keir Starmer and the presidential candidate had been damaged in a row. Yesterday, the Trump team lodged a Federal Election Commission (FEC) complaint against both Kamala Harris's presidential campaign and the UK Labour Party over what it called illegal foreign campaign contributions and interference in our elections. They pointed to that LinkedIn post. But Sir Ben said, I thought it was a political stunt and I'm amazed that the British media have become so hysterical about it. I mean, this has always happened. And this is fascinating. So volunteers from all political parties in this country have helped out their sister parties in other countries, and not just America. He added that some figures from the Conservative Party have also travelled over to campaign for the Democrats in the past, and that while he himself had never done so in the US, he had previously helped campaign for the SDP in Germany. So that's Olaf Scholz's party, who are presently in coalition government there. Asked whether there was a risk that relations between Trump and Starmer could be strained, he responded, where's the evidence for that? I don't think it's caused any rift whatsoever. People are failing to separate government relations from individual volunteering in an election campaign by members of a political party. It's completely separate. He continued, the Trump campaign is indulging in a political stunt. That's what campaigns do. I wouldn't read it more into it than that. It certainly hasn't had an impact on the US government relations. The Labour government will work with whoever's president of the United States, as Labour governments always have. Trump has not yet addressed the campaign's allegations on his website, Truth Social, on his X account, or in public. So yeah, just fascinating that this is just something that happens all the time, and people go to other countries and campaign on behalf of different governments that are aligned to their own political ideology frequently. And this is just nothing new. So Liz Truss was another one who's complained. She was a former Prime Minister, former MP in Suffolk, now is not an MP actually because she lost her seat in the election. Liz Truss spoke at CPAC, so that's a Conservative conference in March. So before the RNC, and this is while she still was an MP, was over at CPAC in March. The organisers of the convention paid $1,465 towards her travel and accommodation. In her speech, she said, quote, "Of course we need a Republican back in the White House. We need it desperately." That was her as a Conservative MP saying that at a Conservative conference in the US. Liz Truss just the other day said, Labour are doing huge damage to Britain's standing and economy. The last thing America needs is these disastrous policies, unbelievably arrogant and foolish of them to interfere in the US election. While she has done, it's just, again, hypocrisy. That could be maybe justified if you hadn't done that previously and this wasn't just a regular thing. So Liz Truss, in October, unbelievably arrogant and foolish of them, Labour activists, to interfere in the US election. In July, Liz Truss said, I want Trump to win the election. It's vital. Biden is a weak president. Unless we Conservatives go and support Donald Trump and make it clear that we need him in the White House, we're in serious trouble. Just hear those words. Let's hear them from her mouth as she's speaking to, none other than, I wonder who it is. Nigel Farage.
I want Trump to win the election. I think it's vital. I think the West is in serious danger. I think Biden has been an incredibly weak president. Unless we Conservatives go and support Donald Trump and make it clear that we need him in the White House for the future, not just of America, but the future of the free world, we are in serious, serious trouble.
Well, I mean, these are sentiments that I've expressed many times over these recent years.
I want Trump to win.
So there you go. So both of them seem to be in agreement that Conservatives should go over and help the Trump campaign. And then she complains, what are Labour doing this? Honestly, have you got a very short memory there? absolutely incredible. And then the other way, US President Donald Trump endorses excellent Boris Johnson to become Prime Minister. Okay, there you go. Well, so this is a storm in a teacup. And it's not just me trying to defend Labour because I'm more aligned to them than the Tories. Yes, it's true. I am more aligned to them than the Tories. There's no doubt about that. But I think it's fairly clear that A, this happens all the time. B, it's not paid for by the Labour Party. It's not paid for by the government. And C, it happens both sides of the aisle. And it happens in many countries. As in, it's not just the UK to the US, it's UK to many countries. And I'm sure, likewise, in reverse, or this kind of happens. There's this cross-fertilization across political parties across, say, Europe, and indeed possibly the world as well. So yeah, hopefully that sets the record straight on this particular topic. And thanks for listening. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.